A lot of us have thoroughly been enjoying Moonlight Peaks, but as we've talked about in a previous video, it has definitely had some issues and there is room for improvements. Some of these have been minor things and some of these have been pretty major, but thankfully the developers have listened, and today we have another bumper patch that is going to be live now if you're on Steam. This patch is going to address a lot of the community's key criticisms and roll out some major fixes that the game needs. So let's get into this straight away, and feel free to discuss your feelings on the patch in the comment below. So this is going to be the second major update we have had from Moonlight Peaks, as we've had some smaller kind of updates here and there, but this is going to be the next big patch, and it is update 1.2.3. And as I say, this one is live now on Steam. I'm literally on the download page on Steam right now as I do this. Unfortunately though, they have not said exactly when this is going to be coming to the Switch and mobile. In their Discord, they've just said that it's going to be coming soon. So if you're a player on those platforms, keep your eyes peeled. But if we're going to go after the last update, it was kind of a couple weeks after the Steam one launched. So you may be looking at that kind of time frame again. That's just due to kind of Nintendo authorizing and approving things in their back end. Now let's get into what is actually coming with this update. I'm not going to go through everything because actually, quite frankly, the list is absolutely huge. So I'm going to pick out the key things, and if you want to read them in full for yourself, I'll link the full patch notes below. I am going to start with the improvements, as I think this is where the good stuff is going to be. I'm thinking quality of life things and all that sort of good stuff, the things that the community has really been asking for. So let's get into this list and see what you can expect. So firstly, the museum, if you have got to that point in the game, this one is now going to allow you to accept higher quality items. This includes fish, which is good. You don't have to get a specific level of an item. The red gramophone is now going to always be able to be purchased from the broken lamp. This has been a huge bit of controversy. If you don't know, you need it to grow the muse tree, which is the magical tree, and you need it to be able to access it. Previously, players were waiting for it to show up in the carpentry store, but now it's always going to be available to purchase, just for kind of a factor of to show how bad this situation was. I had a community member who said that they were at year 3. They've now just messaged me recently to say that they got to year 4. So I think that kind of shows you how bad this was, sadly. From now on, if you purchase accessories and other customization and they're stored in your player's inventory, you can now gift and sell these. So if you make a mistake with your purchase, you can now redeem some of the money. Sticking with the accessories kind of theme, hair can now be changed at the mirror. You no longer have to buy or consume or craft that alter ego elixir. So now you can just do it straight up in the mirror, which is a nice little change there. Now on to cooking. These are kind of huge things. This cooking was definitely kind of taking up a lot of my time in the game because there was previously no bulk cooking like we had with the crafting. However, from today, that is all changed, and it is now going to be like the crafting. You can now craft or cook multiple things at once, which is great. Also, to do with cooking and crafting, you can now cancel it. So if you start making a dish or something that you don't like, you'll now be able to exit out of it, which is great news. Another big criticism that the game has had is that it can be quite slow, and kind of people are actively waiting for the mainline quest to kick in, while they've reduced the number of nights between some of these quests. So it should be quicker for you to be able to progress with the main quests in the game, which is good. Another huge criticism was about the amount of darkwood and lightwood in the game. This has now been altered, as now plum and willow trees will now drop darkwood. So if you're frantically trying to get all of those planks that you need to get the final house upgrade, hopefully that will make it easier. And the weeping willow trees are now going to drop lightwood too. I frankly constantly was clearing out things, but I might have to do that a little bit less now, as forageables, including flowers, will now spawn even if there is low priority foliage in the way, which is good. There is also going to be an increased respawn rate of foliage in non-plot areas. This includes trees, which makes sense to me. We saw a lot of grass popping up everywhere, but not a lot of anything else, so thank you so much for that. Sugar bones, which you may have noticed in the marshes, now will grow to full length everywhere, and they are actually only going to be harvestable when they're fully grown. If you like the antique furniture that comes in green, I'm obsessed with it, then you'll be happy to know that it comes in a purple variant as well, which will be really nice to see. The HUD UI is now going to display the current day of the week, which I'm very grateful for. I never know what day of the week it is and when the shops are going to be open and when they aren't, so I appreciate that. The calendar as well at the end of the night sequence now shows when it's a full moon. Again, never really knew when it was a full moon, now I do. If you are having some accessibility issues in the game, there is now a dedicated tab in the settings for this, and they have added some things to increase the text size and also the option to turn off or reduce the flash screen effects. If that was affecting you, I would go and alter those things in the settings straight away. The crops in your almanac will now show their energy, mana, and mana extract values, which is handy to know. I always wanted some more information. Just a shame we have to go all the way into the almanac to find it. But hey, I will still take that. On the plus side though, recipes in kegs, jam makers, mills, etc. will now show the energy and mana their products give when they are consumed, so that will hopefully give you a bit of a better idea before you actually go ahead and craft them. There is going to be a couple tiny changes to the Nocturna game, and one of them will allow you, when inspecting the board after the match, you'll be able to see the last round points if that's interesting to you. Also, the Firefly Pollinator will have some changes as well. So previously it wasn't showing the range. There was no indicator, so you didn't know exactly what area it was covering. That will now be able to show, and it can now show you information about what it does while interacting with it, because I think some people were scratching their head about this. And the quality influence of the pollinator is now based on the amount of days it pollinates a crop and the amount of days it takes for the crop to fully grow. I know I have picked up a lost item and had to put it in my storage because I didn't know what to do with it after the quest. I kind of forgot to do it and hand it in. Don't judge me for that. But if you are like me, they are now not droppable and you can actually sell them to Chester. So if you want to get rid of them after that quest is gone, you can do that. When it comes to gathering resources, if you found yourself a short on stone, you'll be happy to hear that mining bronze, iron, and gold ores now also drop stone. So no excuse for having lots of mining going on. And shaking trees now cost 0 energy, which I'm very happy about because it made 0 sense to me. I also wish they had changed it so that when you kind of scythe stuff, that reduced energy. But hey, at least they've made changes the other ways. This next one might be a bit sad, as they've actually reduced the price of items that take long passive times to produce, like wine. So I'll be interested to see how much they've reduced that. They have also done some rebalancing, so they've rebalanced the amount of fire drops that come from the sanctuaries. They've rebalanced the amount of honey that's being produced by the bee houses. I wonder if that has been reduced. They've also addressed the issue about the spawn rates of the animal produce. I feel like they were really low, so they've adjusted them and the sell prices. So whether they've taken into account that they are kind of lower kind of producing, then maybe they've upped the price on them. We'll have to see. They've also rebalanced the required resources for the playhouse upgrades. I'm thinking that that probably means that they might have reduced the dartwood planks, maybe, perhaps. They rebalanced the loot from the shaking of trees and cutting them, and also dig spots as well. They've also increased the pricing of the purple gramophone at the Howling Hammer. So that to me sounds like the purple gramophone is still going to be available at the Howling Hammer, but you can always buy it from the Broken Lamp now as well. Now you will find that the default stack of items in the inventory is now 100. One of my big criticisms was that kind of storage did start to get like a bit much when you got later in the game. So hopefully that will reduce down the amount of squares in the game, fingers crossed. But pathways do have a stack size of 1,000, which is better. And finally, for the improvements, they have slightly improved area loading times. So we did see a big improvement after the last big patch. So hopefully this will be even better now. So that is the improvements. Let's get on to what they have called the major fixes. Now, for the majority of things here, it does appear to be things that kind of could end up with the player soft locking themselves following an event. For example, after the Master Soup event and trying to get up and down cliffs in your bat form. There are obviously some areas in the game as well where players were finding themselves getting stuck. So a lot of these are addressing those problems, and if you encountered things like this, which has caused you to become stuck or soft lock while playing the game, this should now have been resolved. Obviously, if you do still find areas like this, still report it. Aside from the soft locks, players will now no longer be able to sell upgraded tools to Chester. Sold tools will be restored to their bronze tier, so you're not going to be left without any tools. If you happen to go on a date in a specified area on the map and then you realize afterwards that there's not going to be any progression cutscenes that would take place that night, then you'll be happy to know that that has been resolved as well. They have also addressed the issue with the Mermaid's Wish quest, where it did not start if one of the special shells was in the house storage while attaining the other one. They say that this fix will repair the save files that were stuck by this issue by ending the night once. So hopefully, end the night once, go back into it, and you should all be good. If you took the trip to the Howling Hammer all excited to customize your house and do some shopping, then scratch your head when it didn't apply, you'll be happy to know that this has now been fixed as well. I hadn't personally thought about crafting more than one mana extractor, but if you have and you were experiencing low performance, then this should all now be fixed as well. And finally, for the major fixes, if you stayed for the after party from the museum opening, you may have found that this might have skipped a player's wedding, causing a relationship lock. Well, this will not happen again, you'll be very happy to hear. I've had a look through the minor fixes, and honestly nothing is kind of their major. There is some kind of typos that are going to fix, some kind of German language issues as well, but mainly things are kind of small little things that you might not have even noticed. For example, like NPCs attempting to walk through Snake during Winter Wake, and also not correct items showing and things like that. So if you do want to read them, by all means check out the link below, but I think we've covered the majority of the major things that are going to affect your gameplay, and I am happy that they have rolled out some more fixes. Fingers crossed it's going to be arriving on all platforms soon. So I'm going to start playing now and see how much of an improvement it is. Let me know in the comments all your favorite fixes, and I'll see you again soon with another video. Bye bye.